Hello everybody and welcome to Music Real Talk with Marbin. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe. Alright. Episode 15. Yeah?
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Time flies when you're having fun. Man.
Why am I making that sound?
Some may ask.
Because NPR chose the song of the year.
Oh, what is it?
WAP.
WAP?
Yep.
What's WAP? Never heard of it.
You remember what it is?
I really don't.
You do.
I don't.
Wet as pussy?
Oh, no, I don't.
You remember that?
I don't remember how it goes.
Oh, there's nothing to remember.
Yeah.
It's Cardi B. And she likes
I
to go...
guess. That's like her move?
It's one of them.
It's a lick.
She tried to get it into the dictionary.
Yeah.
It was unsuccessful. Anyway, NPR, the arbiters of what's good and high culture,
Yeah.
decided
Sometimes
that WAP is a song of the year.
Sometimes it does take an intellectual.
Yeah.
Ah, wow. Okay, well, now we know that. That's good. So, yeah, something I can't hold back anymore is that after seeing Jacob Collier making
we're not going
song,
to talk about that. We're just going to go straight to Jacob Collier.
it's pressing in my mind.
I'm just thinking about NPR. No, fusion is not cool.
WAP is cool.
WAP is great.
Yeah, when you see any of these platforms, like when you go through and see the thing that they're pushing, if it's Spotify or Bandcamp.
I just feel NPR theoretically, or used to be, for people like your parents.
Yeah. Yeah, they used to be more connected to like Nonsuch and labels like that, pushing Bill Frisell and Philip Glass and people like...
Oh, even my parents, like people would go to plays a lot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And read books.
They always had awful taste, but at least they were pushing pretentious intellectual music, but now they've just gone to like horrendously graphic, obscene pop and shitty hip-hop.
Yeah, I'm just saying, exactly. Our generation of the people that are poo-poo, that are poo-pooing are...
Yeah, no, it's horrendous. But, it's just
like rich people. You want to tell me that rich people in 10 years that have dinner parties with expensive wine and hors d'oeuvres are gonna be blasting WAP?
Well, it's already begun to happen. We've seen, especially in our travels, the type of American that has a yacht and in the cooler in the yacht is taking out like Michelob Ultras.
I don't have a problem with that though. So I don't have a problem with somebody having money and not liking stuff that again, but I don't like anyway, right?
Sure.
I don't like minimalism. I don't like modern classical stuff. I'm just saying my problem here, my dissonance here is how the places that the institutions that pretend to be highbrow,
right,
are completely the opposite of it. That's my issue.
But that's what's happened. That's they've reached a level of absurdity that you can really see by the mismatch between what you would consider high culture and refinedness without any of the refined tastes that go along with it. You know what I mean? That's the thing that the Michelob Ultra and the cooler of the yacht represents. It's like you got to this place where you're on top of the world, but you're on top of the world on this one dimension without taking the rest of it.
Yeah, but somebody rich can be... You can, like Duck Dynasty, right? You can be rich because you invented a duck whistle.
Sure.
So that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's great. I don't see any disconnect between them having money and them going to hunt ducks.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But with NPR,
I would imagine
it's a publicly funded radio.
Sure.
And the pretense where you listen. We just listened to NPR together the other day.
Yeah, my wife loves NPR. I listen to it all the time.
I used to before podcast. I used to listen to it, but now it's unlistenable to me.
Yeah.
We just repeat stuff so much. But anyway, the point is that we listened to it the other day, and it's so over the top, snobbish, and ridiculous. That's my problem.
Well, especially when they're when they get to a field where you know something about like music, and they're trying to like paint this picture like some guy is a genius and he's like a hip hop beat producer. And it's like he's taking beats from the cellars of, all underground English that's mixed with jazz. And you just listen to it, it's just like low, and just like shitty sounds, lo-fi. It's like, oh my God, like this thing you're seeing around the music is all just bullshit marketing.
Yeah, and well, rap musically is nothing.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Actually,
nothing.
I now want
She's not
to,
even a good rapper. That's nothing.
I don't know how WAP goes. I need to, after this, figure it out for myself.
It starts like this. There's some hoes in this something.
There's
Hose in this house, maybe?
Hose in
There's
this
some
house.
hoes in
I
this
think
house.
I've heard Ben Shapiro or
hose in this
something
house.
like just recite it or something.
Oh, that was very embarrassing.
Yeah.
I did not like that.
Yeah.
I was very embarrassed. Yeah, but no, but some hoes in this house, and then she's talking. She has a wet ass pussy. It's basically the Patrice O'Neill thing.
Uh-huh.
You sent me the thing with was it Russian or Ukrainian or Czechoslovakian lady like the
She wrote a
Eastern
book about
European.
how to get women, and Patrice O'Neill was like shitting on her.
Yeah, but
That's
the
wonderful.
point there was that he said that she treats herself. She was talking about the guy, like how to keep a guy or how to keep a man. That she knows how to keep a man, and he said that the way that she looks at how to keep a man, it's just like I'm a hoe. That's basically what she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just you give the asshole a special occasion, right? Basically that kind of stuff. Like she treats herself like the worst stereotype of herself.
Sure.
And that's kind of the same thing with that song. But I'm not even. But I don't care because I don't want to go into those lyrics.
Right.
That's not the point. The point is that musically is nothing.
Yeah. There's nothing going on.
So you want to tell me that as far as poetry goes, that's the best one? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. On what level are you judging the selection? I mean, the selections are always stupid.
Yeah, but
now it's just reached the level where it's indefensible.
yeah, but I hate the jazz they like too. But at least when I see the stupid jazz they like, I'm like, well, at least those people, some of them can play.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You know? It's like, I don't like it, but at least there is something there. And here it's just, how can you excuse it? That's what I'm saying. You cannot excuse it. This is not highbrow.
No, it's not highbrow. Yeah, I don't know with the jazz stuff. I just know it became uninteresting because I know some if it's a jazz guitar competition, some girl in Portland's gonna win. No matter.
Are you talking
what.
about that lady specifically? That
Some other?
I sent you?
I don't even.
She won the MacArthur. I don't remember her name. She had the same last name as the publicist.
I don't remember
hired
anything.
and then fired.
I don't remember anything except for what she sounded like, which I do remember.
She won the $500,000 MacArthur or something.
Yep.
Genius. I remember Miguel Zenon won it.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. When Miguel Zenon won it, I was like,
yeah,
he's pretty good, but not that good.
Yeah.
Not $500,000 good, but like, I can't hate it. It's
wait.
definitely one of the better ones out there.
That's the thing about today.
And then,
just wait.
And then I was
You
like,
think-
dude, he should have won more. That's what I thought after I heard. But
It's so bad. Yeah, you know what I was just thinking. I watched.
I just don't think any saxophone playing
No,
should get
justifies
$1
it.
million.
Hey.
No.
Well, they're just printing the money, So I guess somebody should get it. They don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
NPR, where everything is like tax funded, handing prizes, like.
No, it's not NPR. But
No,
price
I know,
on NPR.
but well, they
I read about
they
it in
inflate the
NPR.
people that win.
Yeah, that's what I read about
Yeah,
it.
but that's they inflate it. You can't win unless like you get picked up by these guys.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, it's weird. The modern music critic compared to the music critics were always, it was always a ridiculous thing. But I could see in an age where, there was no electricity and you barely had like a newspaper come to your town. You wanted to be maybe connected to the world, and you needed somebody who lives in Vienna to go see. Like it's like there's this guy Chopin. It's like I didn't like this piece; it was too notey. But that, it's like some people were like, it had something about the dispersing of the information too, and maybe people that really wanted people from the literary world to verbally describe what they were feeling and how they. It was like a reaction video of the Middle Ages.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it basically was that. But it became something ridiculous. Reaction videos is something I keep seeing on channels that unfortunately I'm subscribed to. And I was thinking, like, if I made a sincere reaction video to my favorite music, I'd just sit there and
It seems so fake to me.
it's so fake. It's like,
First time listening to, I heard the pop. First time listening to Stairway to Heaven. Like, ooh,
There was this one guy, and he was listening to like Dirty Loops version of something, and it just popped up, and I couldn't stop.
Is this their name?
Is it? I think so. Dirty Loops? No, it's not Fruity Loops. It's Dirty Loops. We say Fruity Loops, but it actually is Dirty Loops.
No, it's not Fruity Loops, but is it Dirty Loops?
Yes, it's a terrible name. Anyway, this for those of you who don't know, it's a fusion band that covers Justin Bieber a lot.
Yeah, but it's the bass player look like somebody that you're like, ooh, this guy can't play bass, and when he plays bass, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's shreddy.
Yeah, he's my favorite guy though.
Yeah, well, they're all good. The drummer's good too. I mean,
yeah, but stylistically, I really like the bassist. They're all good, I guess.
I mean, yeah, they're good at
all good
at this thing they do, which I hate. But it's like
but come on,
but they're great at it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Listeners, I'm not telling you hate it. I hate it. It makes me feel like I'm somehow, in one way, suffering, and in another way, playing Sonic the Hedgehog. But I like Sonic, but like it's almost like somebody's making me play it too fast. That's the vibe I'm getting from that kind of thing. I just don't like the songs of Justin Bieber played in fusion styles. I don't know. I'm picky or something. But that was not the point. The point was the faces that this old piano teacher was I guess we're reacting to the reaction, so maybe it's a vicious cycle and they're winning. And but it's a ridiculous thing. I was in one part of my brain I was thinking, who watches this? And then another one was like, me. I watch this because it's.
I actually don't know. I don't watch.
I don't do it a lot, but I did have to see it because it's kind of like when you see the clickbaity stuff of like a great Bill Burr joke, and then you see like two guys laughing.
You see, but that's an annoying thing to me because a lot of times I would look for a specific bit. Mm-hmm. So it happens with comedy a lot, for a specific bit, and you can't find it without the reaction part of it, mm-hmm. and it's super annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's some sort of strange removal of the ego that's really prevalent in this generation, where it's not done by growth or altruism. It's just done by playing too many computer games to where you're uncomfortable with your own.
I was the removal of the ego. It's so
because you can't.
It's basically you're taking Bill Burr stuff and you're making it about yourself.
No, it's not for the reactors, for the people enabling them, for the people watching, because you are not allowed to have your own reaction and confront the world of art, comedy, whatever, firsthand. You have to create a middleman that makes those feelings that are bouncing from the objective source, okay. You need to know where to laugh. You need to know what to feel. That's why American Idol became popular. That's why we need judges, right? It's clearly there. That's clearly what's happening, right? You need to see, even with Snarky Puppy, their genius was to show people, I've said this before, was to show people where to feel the solo, like where the peak was by just quick B-roll of audience just shaking a head, making stank face. They took that thing.
It's not just the audience, it's the
other players too.
The players
but they filled the room with people.
What's the name of this lady that does the two notes at the same time?
Layla Hathaway.
Yeah, I remember when Justin told us, she's been around forever. Everybody knows the gospel world. That's what he said.
Right. But the way that they took the B-roll, and we talked to their video guy, Andy LaViolet, that made that thing, and he said that the reaction that won them the Grammy, that made that thing go crazy, wasn't to that note. It was to a different part in a different song. They just snatched it like B-roll. But they're geniuses. I mean,
you know what's weird though? That's kind of interesting to me because Ben was talking to me, De Laurentiis. Mm-hmm. You probably don't remember him. He's not very memorable. So
does he have very dim star power?
doesn't have any star power.
Yeah, I know the guy. Okay.
You were confusing him with a
I
different
thought
friend of ours.
Ben.
Yeah, a
almost
different
the
friend
same.
of
Yeah,
ours.
okay.
So he was talking to me about Layla Hathaway, and I showed him the other lady that does the two notes that move.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, but also I understand why Layla Hathaway clip is more famous.
Well, yeah, my dad has a saying from a physicist. I forget which one, but like a famous one that said, "It doesn't matter who does something first; it matters to do it last." And that's kind of the truth about gimmicks. You know what I mean? Like you see always like this video circling on it. The guy who, like Eddie Van Halen didn't invent tapping. This black and white Italian dude invented tapping, and you see him tapping, and you're like,
Nobody cares.
but who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, come on, it's like he did it, but he did it awesome. And even if there was somebody
also
else
the
who did it
time-
awesome, he connected, right?
Yeah, to the time, to the medium.
Yeah, it's weird. I just had a conversation with my brother about these VR glasses, and he's just discovering them right now, right? So he's putting them on. He's playing like these games. Then I'm sure he's discovered like VR porn by now, and I don't know how I got here, but I was talking to him about like the minute I thought about that, I had the greatest idea for an invention, which was you probably remember.
I do remember.
Yeah, it was an attachment for your Roomba. I called it the cum bucket, and you just put a little bucket, and your vacuum cleaner robot just follows you around while you run around the house violently masturbating and collects your sperm samples. So if anybody wants to go into business with me, with the cum catcher, and I'll be the idea man, and you can come up with the technology, and we'll split everything 50-50. I don't know how this is exactly related to Snarky Puppy or any of that, but
Because they made you come.
Yeah. Well,
Buckets.
Artistically. Yeah. Anyway, the point I was trying to make was that even as awesome as a new technology and a new idea is, things happen when they happen. So even with Van Halen or with Holdsworth or with Scott Henderson or with Mahavishnu or with not music, like anything, the moment where a culture embraces a new thing, it's easy to just kind of reduce it to the obvious technical elements inside it, right? Like, so the
Yeah, that's all I'm about to say, that the fact it's not enough to do something, it also needs to have a good context and to be awesome in that context.
Right.
Like
Right,
if,
and even
if you're just tapping and it sounds not like much, then who gives a shit?
And also, not everything becomes so widely accepted, right? So an Oculus, like a VR helmet, could be great, but it's not necessarily going to become the iPhone to where like most people on the planet at some point are going to have it, or technology like that. Like, I guess the iPod was like the first real totally global device that people kind of had on their body. Well, I don't know, probably more people have iPhones, but
No, but the iPod was the huge thing.
The first big Apple thing.
Yeah.
And before that, probably the PC or something. Yeah. Anyways.
Television, radio, I don't know.
Yeah. For something to reach that level of commercial like accessibility, it really needs to be a combination of totally revolutionary and then also completely obvious, like, but also the momentum. I mean, with music, you see it all the time. Something just clicks, and people that have really, I mean, most of the musicians I know really know how to do one thing, and sometimes their day just comes.
Everything makes sense in retrospect. So when Snarky came on the scene, it was very obvious to me why a band like that is famous at that point of time. And I don't mean musically. I mean that gospel is one of the only places that still pay. So it makes sense that a lot of good musicians would be drawn to playing gospel. And it would make a lot of sense.
Collect the experience through playing live to actually transform to be able to play in time with good sound with other people.
Yeah, it's also competitive because there is a lot of money in it.
Sure.
Same thing to me that happened later. I wasn't surprised that Wolfpack kind of got famous doing that, because weddings is still a good avenue to make money.
You have to be a funk wedding band.
Yeah, and if you're good, or cover band, so if you're good at that, it makes sense that some good musicians will come out of it, will be able to do something.
Yeah, Wolfpack, and really what I want to talk about in the beginning connects in my mind in the place where what's the unpredictable thing to me, and where I really didn't understand the American jazz student of 2015, 2016, is that I thought naively that it was obvious that the best people are Pat Metheny on guitar, Alan Holdsworth, Scott Henderson, Stevie Ray Vaughan, I don't know, Jeff Beck, whoever the top of every list. I thought that was an obvious thing, and everybody wants to play that kind of music, and the only thing stopping them was their own lack of motivation, talent, ability, or whatever. But what those guys found out is that a lot of these people are in jazz school for no reason, and what they want to do is just groove. Like, a lot of these guys just don't want to play this kind of music. A lot of the people in jazz school don't like jazz. They don't want to play jazz. They don't listen to jazz.
Even if they like jazz, how much do they listen to jazz? The answer is not a lot.
Yeah.
I remember when we talked to John. John said he never listens to jazz at home.
Yeah. Well, now he does, but back then I'm sure he didn't.
Well, he said he didn't.
Yeah. And it's the weird thing is that I could see how even a band like Snarky Puppy, in my mind, it would connect. It would validate my theory about people and about musicians in a way. Even though I never liked their melodies or their solos very much, there was something in the music that was still had enough technical things about it and enough understanding of harmony that I was like, okay, I could see how musicians can go and want to be that. But when Wolfpack came on the scene, and then the energy to imitate them came from the jazz schools, that blew my mind, right? Because I thought maybe that they would be kind of a beacon of inspiration for garage bands or for people who are, just friends hanging out. But the fact that the institutions embraced them like this, and that the people going to school wanted to sound like these people was mind-boggling.
It was weird to me that they didn't come up through the jam scene, that this is where you would think they would come up from, right? Because Turquoise are also a funk band, and were completely immersed in the jazz scene.
Yeah,
jam scene. Not jazz, jam scene.
Yeah.
That would make more sense. I would think, obviously it's not true.
Yeah, it bent my mind. So let's talk about what I want to talk about in the beginning, which is I sent Dani a video that I found online
of Jacob Collier playing with himself for 18 minutes.
Yeah, of Jacob Collier's process. He was
Onlyfans.com/JC.
That's right, but not Jesus. Yeah, they're JC. So, yeah, he was in his studio, and for 18 minutes he was playing with himself, tracking Hey Jude, and then adding vocal harmonies and vocal bass lines, and then going weird with it. And it shocked me. It shocked me to a level that was like beyond what I could articulate at the moment. I had to send it to Dani and see what his impression of it was, because I up to that point, I really never ran across something that made me feel so obsolete and so old.
It was very interesting. I actually watched it all the way through, which is rare with videos Dani sent me.
Yeah.
Because we're boring. But I did watch that one all the way through. It's very interesting. I definitely had a lot of thoughts about it.
Yeah. So let's unpack some of the things we were feeling.
So the first thing I was thinking, I don't know the first, but one of the first things was that if I wasn't a musician, I would think that you shouldn't be even try to be a musician if you don't have perfect pitch.
Right? It makes the whole process just flow. It's like oh, that second note was out of tune. Ha ha, silly me.
Yeah, he's so good at it. It was so quick.
Yeah, and he's just like, it's this. I wouldn't call it even composition or arrangement. it feels more like inputting. Like he's just inputting.
That's how he called it himself, because he said that he goes with his first idea, no matter how crazy it is, and then sometimes he has to go and try other stuff. But
it's this bridge between person and computer. It's really embracing the computer, like absolutely, just like
like a canvas.
It's and again, people in the comments said it was like watching Bob Ross paint a picture where it's not clear where it's going to go. To be honest, where it went was not good, in my opinion, right? It didn't end up, but he sells the promise. He sells the potential.
But I don't know, because I don't know if you talk to Bryn Levinson, the guy that does our covers, if he's going to say that Bob Ross was an amazing painter.
Sure, probably not.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
it sounded shittier than a Bob Ross painting looks.
But I'm saying I don't know if you're right.
Really?
Yeah.
Could be. I don't know anything about painting.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It sounded worse than the original Hey Jude.
Yeah. Well, but I thought, so a few things. I actually thought it sounded fine. Right? But the interesting part is, to me, was how disconnected it can be from how things would be in reality. What I mean is this, because this is also reality, right? But when we play and we record, we always try to stay connected to the place of a band playing live.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you would overdub a guitar or something, but it's still kind of, if we had another guitar player, he would play that part.
Right.
You don't do 1,000 parts of yourself and then take a gong and take it down 18 cents and then for 1 second take a bell, and it's basically treated like everything can go. So if I record a solo, I can switch between saxophones in the middle and then enter on one note, all of a sudden do 10 saxophones that play a chord, and then put a phaser on 3 notes. You know what I mean? It's like there are no limitations. I always have, when I play a solo, I always have a limitation of I'm playing one saxophone throughout a song, and then if I play other saxophone, it will be like as if other horn players would have been there and played in a horn section.
Yeah, I mean the way a person like him treats music, I feel offended by. I think, like, for me, irks on me, because he clearly understands, something about, like, we share probably a lot of the understanding about the constraints of music, of theory, but he's sort of actively trying to disregard them to create a style. Now, again, I'm not saying his music shouldn't exist, and if you like that kind of music, more power to you. And then he's your guy. But it's exactly what you're saying. It's that vision of no constraints, and it makes sense if you really treat Pro Tools or Logic as your blank canvas, where all the sounds, all the manipulations of the sounds, everything's possible, and your job is to just paint interesting pictures that we're no two are
let
alike.
me give an example. So Russian Dolls, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I have horn parts underneath some of the songs, some of the solos.
Right.
But I would never think... But it's basically I have a horn part and then I record a solo on top of it, even though it wasn't the order in the studio. No, it wasn't the order in the studio. But that's not the point. The point is I recorded it as if.
Mm-hmm.
I have horn parts, and the horn parts are very not... they don't react with a specific solo.
Mm-hmm.
I would never think about playing a solo and then figuring out the solo and then writing a horn part that specifically would just work with that solo. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The horn parts for me is a part of the backing,
Right.
like of the rhythm section.
Yeah.
Right? But why? It doesn't make any sense, because if you have your own computer and you do it at home, it doesn't make any sense. You can do a horn part for the entire solo if you want to. You can go and change the solo. You can do everything.
Well,
So for him, I'm guessing what he would say is that there is no reason for me to put all those limits on myself when we're actually using the same tool. I'm just deciding not to use a huge portion of it.
Well, I mean, what he's really doing that is very different than how we look at things, and it took me a while to absorb my feelings and to come to any sort of terms with what it made me feel, is that he's directing the power of improvisation to what I consider the wrong part of music, right? So for me, and the way Marbin is, we really compose our melodies. If we need backing, if we need a second line, we will sit there and we will think about what it does in relation, and also what if you put it there, what space it takes. This is the thing. You're always working with limited space. So if he's doing what he calls pyramids, which is also the first time I've ever heard that term used, because it visually on Pro Tools, it takes the shape of like, a pyramid, like
a slanted,
slanted thing. Like, he's just layering vocals like, and they're all sustaining and making a chord, but you hear the voices one by one. That takes the space of, a very intentional melody that could have been there. Everything in music, since you're painting on time, that you put into the music takes the space of something else that could be there. That's why consideration and not going with your instinct sometimes serves you. That's why the patience part of writing and the ability to go back and edit your own writing could be valuable, because this is what Leonard Cohen really said that really stuck with me about composition. Composition is locating your self-respect. So you can have a very flowing process if you're willing at the end of the day to sit there, listen to what you do, and be okay to scrap it, because you get one version of Hey Jude.
But that makes no sense to me, because we pretend. So what the both of us are doing, we pretend that we live in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s, but we don't.
I know. That's what I said. It made me feel obsolete. It made me feel old, because I don't subscribe to this kind of thinking.
And is not just good. So obviously he's good on a lot of instruments, right? Uh-huh. But it's not the point, because it doesn't have to be, because he uses a lot of MIDI.
Right.
And he showed it too, but he uses a lot of MIDI. So he doesn't even have to be as good on all those instruments. But he releases music all the time. He has an idea, doesn't matter what style it is, he has an idea, he flashes it out, does something that he thinks is cool, and it's out there, and that's it.
Right, that's the process.
And you can do it, and why not? It's on his computer, it costs him nothing but some time,
mm-hmm.
and he can really get a lot of stuff out.
Right.
As far as we're concerned,
we put out one thing a year.
Even if we could do more, we would do like 2-3 times a year.
Yeah.
Like you will never do like what song. You can't get them out that quickly.
Well, I mean, I go on live feeds and do that all the time.
Yeah, but it's not the same, because on live feeds you don't really put anything into it other than you just noodling.
But that's exactly what he's doing, just really quick. He's just imitating. It's a compositional noodle with very highly crafted.
But it's not true, because it's not what he's doing. Because you will never put something like that out as a song, because it's not. You would try to arrange it, and he does arrange it.
Yeah. On the fly. It's very impressive. I'm not bashing the guy. I'm saying that he did something that made me realize something about my own process and about myself that is so disconnected from the time. What we do is just is an echo from a world past.
And what he does makes perfect sense, especially if you have stuff on Spotify or in YouTube and all that stuff in streaming. You just release and release and release.
Could you imagine how inadequate, though, it makes somebody who's like sitting at home in a home studio trying to like track layer by layer? That's how they make music, and then they see him doing that. It's like, it makes you feel like you're in the wrong sport.
You are in the wrong sport.
Yeah. It's like, because
compared to him?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like you love basketball, but then like LeBron just jumps above you like an airplane.
I don't know how. Yeah, I can't do it. I might be able to if I put my time and effort to it, but I can't imagine.
But yeah, if we had to sit down and do that kind of process, it would take us 10,
I just don't
20
think I would
times
have
the time.
I don't think I would have become a musician.
Right.
Because it's just not. It's not a process that I can do.
Yeah, no, it's very unrelatable.
Like I would not like it. That's not how I want to spend my time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm saying for him, I completely understand it, and it's just he makes more sense to me that we make sense to me. You know?
Yeah, especially in a world where people
That there is no value for music.
and
There's
for
no
live
value.
music too.
Yeah, there's no value for live music. I think it makes much more sense. To do stuff, to do very lo-fi, everybody records at home, just you and your friends, and record and have an album a month on Bandcamp, or every other day have a song on Spotify. Again, if you can do something that's pretty good, right? Because a lot of people can do something shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But he can do something that's definitely a lot of level above what other people can do, because it is very in tune. He has good time. He's good on a lot of instruments, so he can make up an arrangement. He make a vocals arrangement, he's just not concerned with, wait, why do I have a triangle once in that song?
Right.
And
Well, that's going back to that idea of representing what you perceive to be reality. Now, the way people of this generation perceive the reality of music is just very different than what me and you grew up with, even though we didn't grow up with a lot of live music. We grew up in Israel, and the music we liked was not performed there more than a couple times a decade.
yeah,
Especially not by the heroes really didn't
well,
get
a lot of them were dead.
yeah. So we did not have the experience of seeing live music, but we wanted to. And even when we listened to records, we imagined it. We imagined the face of the musician. We imagined the rooms. A part of the romanticism in the draw was to create this thing of people making music in a room together.
Yeah, the genius was not how they recorded it. The genius was how did they play that.
Right. And I think that's not really, I mean, for him, when you're okay with creating the mental vision when somebody closes their eyes of 60 of you,
Yeah,
you're already are making things from a premise that is not so relatable, because even when we multi-tracked, like last chapter of Dreaming or Breaking the Cycle, it was supposed to it was kind of like Pat Metheny Group, where there are more layers in the music than there are people on stage, but still there are enough to sell it as a real thing. Like Pat Metheny had some MIDI tracks playing, and they all played with a click track to line up with that. They were really the first to have a hybrid band between obsolete MIDI machines and human jazz musicians. But there was enough of the band going through the mix to paint something organic over it. But this stuff is just so the computer and the intelligent way of operating it through Ableton Live, through all these software ways of syncing everything, tracking everything to a click track, everything like, kind of quantized, or if it's not just, you go and stop time back and forth and tune it, it's drifting farther and farther away from that vision. And I was reading, I started reading a book again that I read before after I watched that thing, because I felt like there was something that could explain something about what I was seeing. It's a Thomas Sowell book called A Conflict of Visions, and it starts with a quote that behind every moral code there is a vision of the world, an understanding of human behavior, and a version of history. And in that understanding of the world, description of human behavior and vision of history, the moral code applies. And the idea is that the presumptions that we have about what this thing that we call reality is really forces us to act a certain way, in a way that we're not even aware of. And it's very interesting to somehow become aware of the scope of your vision, of what shapes the way you actually see the world. And it's true, everything I've ever done needed to represent almost a picture that I could believe.
Yeah, we never used MIDI, for example.
No, because it sounded ridiculous.
But when I had to explain to people why not use, us and Ben, we argued about it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to explain to somebody why I don't like MIDI is very strange, because I think that playing, maybe one of the most important things about playing is the touch of a player. But for a lot of people, they don't understand why I wouldn't use something that was recorded perfectly with a perfect equipment, and it's so consistent and it's great and has a perfect reverb on it. Like, what can I even...
Yeah,
like,
Yeah, because it's the argument is that it sounds just like it, but I don't want something that's just like it. I want it.
Yeah, but even the it, like if Everett plays snare, it's still somebody playing snare in a recording. So like, why won't you use the somebody play the
Because
snare on a
there's a
recording that's
difference
perfect?
to me between real and not real. It reminds me of that Charles Silverstein song. It's like they're
Plastic?
Yeah, they're cuties and bathing suities.
Yeah.
And it's real as it could be, but it's just not me. It's plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, because I just it reminds also the Mitch Hedberg joke. It's like through my experiences with acid, I learned that butter is way better than margarine. I just know. I know what. We always get to this place where it's the battle between the subjective and the objective. I know I don't like it. Is really where it all starts and ends. Which
Yeah,
is
I know. That's what I'm saying too. Objectively, all that stuff makes perfect sense to me, but subjectively, it's just I cannot,
hard.
I cannot play that game. It's not for me. I don't like MIDI. I don't like all that computer music stuff.
Yeah, and also when you get into this place where it's almost like the Beatles started a curse. That's my new theory. Where and Les Paul really with multi-track recording when they invented this thing that broke the flow of time. It's almost like you started like God was like you like don't. It's like a fucking Indiana Jones movie or something. You upset the gods and now they put a curse on us. That if time, so be it. You want to break time? Here you go. And now, like all these musicians, like are either fixing themselves at home or like doing like this start.
It's different type of it's a different type of musician for sure.
Yeah,
and that creates a different type of music. It's very strange. It's really it's disheartening. I don't like the music that comes out of it. I understand why you would do it.
mm-hmm.
And obviously, Jacob Collier is so much more successful than us.
Sure.
In every way. So he's obviously more. A lot of people would agree that what he's doing has merit.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people would agree. There was a musician from Israel called Eyal Amir, and he had some videos that did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very known in Israel, I think. Not that it matters in Israel because there were 3 people in the country. But
3 of them known.
He wrote on his Facebook a post like a couple of years ago about how he doesn't like when he sees jazz musicians live. He's not a huge jazz head, but he does go to see jazz musicians live, how they don't play the signature licks they did or the same solos they recorded.
On the album.
On the album, how we don't play them in the shows that he's seen, because he said that's a part of what I like about those songs, about those players, and when I don't get to see it, right? It's such a reversal of reality to me.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It makes you feel like you need to have like a course about jazz before you can allow people to go see the show. It's like the record should come with a disclaimer.
But he's not an ignorant person and definitely not a musician as compared to other people, right?
No, he knows what he's saying. It's just coming from
exactly. He knows what he's saying.
Strange place. Yeah, I can't relate to that on pretty much any level at all.
What's going on?
Oh, nothing.
Yeah. It's just I understand.
It's weird. There aren't a lot of subjects that I find so baffling as this. Like I feel like both me and you are reacting to this in a way where it's
because it makes sense to me on the surface, but in a deeper way, I just cannot connect to it.
Well, when you're in this a part of a perspective that accepts what's been happening in culture as a positive thing for the last 40 years, I feel like I have very little in common with you as a person, because really I'm mostly revolted by what happened in almost every facet of music. in rock, in jazz, certainly in the mainstream, like in pop, and to embrace that and embrace all the tools. But that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I'm guessing also there are people, like the people in box time, that like really like, but if you use equal temperament, like it's like the C chords sound weird. Let's keep the C chord. So I understand that that's always the way that the world progresses. Like, you have people trying to push forward, and the people trying to hold back, and somehow they create a balance in the middle.
But to me with music there is no forward.
What do you mean?
But it's not forward. There is no such thing as... That's why music is so difficult for people, I think. That's why an art is so difficult for people, and that's why so many people, to me, or really most people, fail at it. I'm not saying fail financially. I'm saying fail artistically.
Mm-hmm.
Is because it's not clear what the next step is. Right? That's always the hardest. It's the hardest for us too. You always try to get better, but what does it mean to get better? It's not obvious. So
It's
that's
not
the same
obvious,
thing.
no.
It's like, it's not forward. If you listen to music from the 80s with all the synths and the music from the 70s or the 60s, how can you think it's forward moving?
Yeah. No, it certainly is not that. But it is true that people tend to embrace the tools of their time. Like, if you look at, you're using tools of 100 years ago, and I'm using tools of 50 years ago.
Well, they have no choice. That's what I was saying about Bandcamp and Spotify. That the way we do things make no sense with the financial realm of today.
Right.
It's like
Right. That you need an actual studio to make an album, big room.
A lot of people pay your musician, we have to drive to get there.
Right.
You have to get them a place to stay, feed everybody. It's just, it's way too expensive.
Yeah,
you can't do it all the time.
For something you upload to Spotify for free.
Yeah, for somebody that not a lot of people are going to buy. And we still sell a lot, but not online.
Mm-hmm.
We sell at shows, which we haven't had in a year.
Yeah.
So, so it's just, even in shows, it's strange, right? I'm sure back in the day you would sell, like multiple of what
I was thinking about that, like about how much I love shows, and I love shows. I think that's the best time. But if I had to talk to a 20-year-old and explain to him
why to go to a show
today, I wouldn't know how to articulate.
But also the music, the music that they listen to, I don't think is much better the show.
Right, it could be. Yeah, I was thinking about.
Well, look at Jacob Collier. If you like Jacob Collier, how can you go to a Jacob Collier show?
Yeah,
there's only one of them.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing too. It's like when you listen, like one Sinatra is so plenty. It's enough. Like dude, I wouldn't want that show to ever end. I remember seeing Leonard Cohen live 3 times.
Yeah, that's great.
It's fucking,
And that was so past his prime. I would love to see him when he was 30 or 40.
Yeah, 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, just out of his mind. Like lost it.
Yeah, like just wrote those songs.
Yeah.
Like working right now on new songs that are gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, the power of a person. Like, I feel like we've all been home with YouTube for so long now, for a year, and it's really fucked everything up.
So that's a good time to say we have a YouTube show. We're selling Sweetwater.
Yeah, it's true. But seriously, it's creating this situation where, like, I thank God I have memories of defining moments in my life. I keep thinking that, like, I have seen awesome shit. I've been a part of awesome shit. I know what it means for this thing to work, this music thing, this live music thing, this show thing. Seeing a person really playing his ass off.
You know what it reminds me?
And being carried away.
You know what it reminds me? There is this Louis C.K. thing. I really like Louis C.K. I'm sorry, but he masturbated in front of people. It's
funny.
It's funny to me. I like him.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? That he has that joke where he talks about when he was a kid, showing his dick to a girl with Down syndrome behind the gym.
Okay. I don't remember that.
Okay, never mind.
So it started early.
I'm just saying that if you followed Louis C.K.'s career, It's not the biggest surprise in the universe. This guy is not all well. Anyway, point being, he has this thing that I'm trying to remember if it was a bit or if he just talked about it. Wait, I'm so confused now. Sorry, what happened to you?
I bet you earlier.
What we were talking about?
You're talking about Jacob Collier?
Oh yeah, now I remember.
Yeah.
He was talking about phones and kids on phones. And he was saying how that when you bully somebody in person, they cry or make a face, and most kids, if they're not a psychopath, you're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. But if you bully somebody on the phone, online, and you say, oh, hey, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're like, that's tasty.
It felt good.
It feels good. Again, Let's do it again. So it's something about being a musician and playing for people and playing even to other musicians. I think it puts you in a different type of reality which changes the way you are.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, if you have a rehearsal, like if we came to a rehearsal and I was like, my wet ass pussy, I got wet ass pussy. Well, everybody would love it. First of all, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, right? Yeah. It's like some stuff you just, you stop yourself. You're like, oh, that's a great idea, that's funny, but then you don't want to do it when you're in front of other people and your friends in the rehearsal room. And you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do it in the show. That doesn't feel good. But when you're on your computer, like, that's so funny. That's great.
We have a name for that. We call that big dick energy. And you can't, the webcams and home studios don't capture big dick energy. There's a certain thing.
I've seen some big dicks
you've seen,
on camera.
but once you really see them in life, you pass out. But that's the idea. The idea is that like some people just have weight in real life that doesn't translate.
No, yes, you're correct. But some stuff doesn't translate for sure. It's like there is no a recording or a video. That's the thing that I hate the most about YouTube. That when somebody would see me play a solo on YouTube, they're like, "Oh, I know how you play." No, you don't. This is not. That's not capturing the show. Yeah. This is not how I play.
No, we summon a big fucking demon.
Yeah, it is true that's how I played once, but this is not. It doesn't capture it at all. That's why I hate about it, because you think it does.
Yeah, well, I mean, to participate in what happens in a Marbin show, you have to be at a Marbin show. And it's.
But Dani, that's all I was saying. So yes, it's true. What your point is completely valid. It's true, but. To go back to the point is that when you play with people and not just the computer, not just sending tracks to people, like in the room with people, it changes the way you act, and it changes the way. I'm not saying audience. I'm saying even just your friend. It changes your
decision process.
It changes your decision, and it changes what you put out there, and it changes once you rehearse something. Like Rage Against the Machine, right? I'm sure it would have been different if everybody was just at home recording and not meeting in a room and screaming and doing what we're doing.
Not everything is parts, is the point. And not every... And the decisions... It goes back to the big point that we always bring up, that we brought up in many episodes, which is the point of courage. And being in the heat of a moment will sometimes draw something out of you, a behavior, a move, a way of hitting an instrument that, you wouldn't do timidly, and you certainly wouldn't do alone. I think that's really the problem. The problem is being alone and the kind of perspective it forces you into, which is way too introspective.
I think that the same way, I think we kind of guide ourselves by seeing our reflections in others. So morality is a great example of that. How I don't want to get too much into morality. So let's say just generally speaking, you act in a certain way, and then a lot of people react to you. In the beginning, it's just your parents and some family members and some friends, and the more you go up, the more people that you interact with, and you kind of see their faces and their reaction to you, and that kind of helps orient you.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and it also causes, definitely some people, the example I like to give them also, I just talked to my sister about it, is that people that don't help other people have a confirmation bias because nobody wants to help them. and then they have to take care of themselves first. So it's kind of a cycle, and it's true for the other way around too. If you always help other people, people will like to help you. So you both started in different ways, and your realities are completely different because the way you are in the beginning. Yeah. But both of you live in a completely different reality. Yeah. Right? So people, I'm saying that's the way you orient yourself, with people reflecting from other people. But I think what happens a lot to people right now, in music and generally, they put themselves on social media, which is already kind of a weird way because you don't really put yourself out there. You put the sliver that you capture, and you're very self-aware in a weird way, and then you get all those fake reactions back.
Yeah. Well,
that you don't really understand what's going on behind them, and then it's like it just creates this weird cycle of you not being able to really orient yourself because you don't really understand.
Also, I think there are things that emerge from that reality that are dangerous, which is how unaccepting that kind of internet market is to new music and how much they love things they know. So even the talented people, it's true, like they're, especially in the beginning when they're coming up, when they're unknown, especially if they find something that, God forbid, works and they get attention, they will inevitably try to repeat it until it stops working. That's how everybody does it. You do something successful and then you do it again and again and again. And if it's happening in your formative years, it also shapes the trajectory of your life. So if it's, like we always talk about transcribing solos and getting likes, or doing covers that are reharmonized in quirky ways, and just kind of chasing this momentum of what's popular right now, what's fashionable, at the expense of just asking yourself some questions about what music is inside you and what kind of songs you would like to write. And I think paving a path forward in your, not even career, but just actual musical journey, the thing that gets us all into this thing towards something of meaning, something of the deep satisfaction. I mean, there is a great feeling about having an idea, developing it, following it, letting it settle, trying, writing, finishing the melody, finishing the harmony, presenting it to your bandmates, trying to record it, seeing if you did a good job, right? Tracking it again if it's shit, trying to play.
We never track it again.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I don't know. A lot of people, even there's a respectable way to make a rock album, but it's it takes time, And again, I guess some people, of course, track things in one take and get it perfect. More power to them. But at the end of the day, it's like, you are going to end up spending 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes with a song. Doesn't matter how long it took to make that song. What matters is the product. What matters is pragmatically what you ended up putting down and what it makes people feel, think, and how it compares to what happened before and after it.
But also, okay, so now I don't know if it's right. So maybe somebody needs to do a better analysis of what I'm going to say. But do you think that 20 years ago, when we were growing up and listening to music when we were in high school, do you think that we listened more to the same songs over and over in comparison to people now that listen to maybe a lot of different music, one after the other? Do you know what I'm asking?
I certainly have. I mean, like Blood Sugar Sex Magic or something like that, or like a
Dude, Leonard Cohen, how many times did we listen to his songs?
Leonard Cohen, I listened to his discography on repeat
a billion times. Years.
Like, I don't even know how many. Yeah, I mean, but I get obsessed with, the way, I know hundreds of songs now by heart, and when I go to learn a song, I listen to the same song 90
when I hear a song that I like,
times.
I hear it so many times.
Well, the truth is, I hear music I like until I stop liking it. That's what I do. You know, I just do it till everything starts losing meaning. It's like chewing something until it has no flavor left.
But do you think that people now treat it differently?
I don't know. I don't know
'Cause,
anything about
'cause so
people.
much-
I haven't seen people in
Because
so
much
long.
because so much is available. No, that's what I'm wondering. If that's
I'm guessing it
part
would
of
have to be that because how would you like looking into Spotify or YouTube where you know it's endless? You know, people are there's probably more things uploaded in one day to either of these services than you will have time to listen to for the rest of your life. You know,
Well, when you look at our Spotify stats, for example, not all the songs get the same play. A couple songs get way more play than all the rest. And we're not on Spotify playlists, so, well, we're on like 15,000 Spotify playlists, but we're not on playlists created by Spotify at all. So I know there is no, like nobody is pushing one thing over the other.
Right. We're the ultimate test group.
Yeah, right? So my point is, why, like Juke Joint is the most played song on Spotify.
Right.
So for us. But it's not better than the other songs. I actually don't even think it's the best song on the album.
No.
So it just happened like that. And it's definitely it's not even close to what we did the next album, which I think like almost every song is better than that, or the next album. Definitely not next. You know, so I'm just saying that when I used to listen to Coltrane, I would just listen to the album beginning to end. And yeah, there would be parts that I would go back and listen to.
Now people are, I think, much more song-focused than album-focused, for sure. For sure.
But it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
So it's basically whatever catches you first, you just keep on listening to it until you're done, and when you don't even check out the album it was on, or the band that played it.
Bizarre.
Or like you barely do.
It's a bizarre thing. Yeah.
So I'm just saying that it's the same thing when you talk about Jacob Collier. Maybe it does make more sense just to do things quickly because nobody cares enough to listen to it a million times.
Yeah. The one thing I do want to say to people listening, because, you know, I was reading some of the comments on his video and even sometimes on our videos, and something always comes to mind when I read a comment that goes like, I'm throwing my guitars away, or like, this is depressing. Like people, but you can tell some people are serious about it. Not even comments, but with students, people find other people's process and talent or skill or ability depressing. And I always think about the same thing, which is at the core of this, you need to want to do it. It's like Bukowski said, you need to be the hero of your own shit. And this is something that baffles my mind because I see these guys. I would never want, even for a second, to switch place with anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we do what we want. Which is
I
play our
know,
music.
but I'm saying it's like sometimes the success of somebody else creates some sort of feelings of jealousy. That happens to everybody, right? It's like you don't, but it's more a frustration with the way the world is, with the way other people are, with the way other people are reacting to one thing over whatever you produced. That's its own thing. But the actual want to cease being yourself and, you know, jump into the skin of a talented guy is just something that dumbfounds me because I can't relate to that on any level. I think that's something that some people need to really address before either continuing or you know, it's an inhibitor of growth.
It's hard for me to imagine because people that I like on saxophone are dead.
Yeah.
So it's just hard for me to imagine that. Like if somebody like Kamasi Washington, for example, that has so much success as a saxophone player, right? But it's exactly. I'm not even. The success that I always irks me a little bit is stuff like we're talking about in the beginning, like the NPR stuff, which I never get.
Yeah, but that's
because I feel like it's
saying.
just a random person deciding.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
But
that's the thing.
The frustration there is the frustration where you don't understand the criteria that the judges are applying to come to a determination.
So that's the thing that, if anything, bothers me. But I'm not bothered by everybody that likes Kamasi. Okay, if something bothers me is how people the gatekeepers that keep us out for some weird reason.
Sure.
But no. But let me finish the point. So, yeah, I'm not jealous of Kamasi because I don't like his playing. But maybe if I did, I would be. You know what I mean?
But yeah, where do you stop with that kind of thinking? You know what I mean? That's like, do you want his nose?
It never happened to me, so I don't know.
I don't know either.
It never happened to
Do you
me,
want
so I
his
don't know.
clothes?
But
Do you want his apartment? Do you want his wife? His kids? Like what like how much are we switching here? Is it like, do you want to just wake up to be this, like, you know what I mean? And this is something that
But I don't know. Can't you relate to it when you were a kid and you're listening to whoever, Steve Vai, or if you liked when you were a kid and you're like, or Scott Anderson, and you're like,
No.
oh my God, I want to be able to do it. How can he do it so well?
but I wanted to be able to do it, but I didn't have. The only thing it reminds me of is computer games, because that's the only experience that you really jump into a perspective that's so external from your own that you're seeing a world somebody else made, and the coming back from it has a bit of trauma of, like, you know, because the identification stops and you have to come back to be yourself.
Yeah.
But in the business of learning from others in a field like this thing is just, it's so deeply rooted in psychosis. You know what I mean? It's a type of psychosis, and if you have bits of that psychosis, you should stop it. You know, you should just snap yourself out of that, because that leads absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying that I do see, like, if you see somebody, yeah, I guess you're jealous, but not, you don't want to be them. There's a big difference.
If somebody plays amazing flamenco, I can have an image of how great it would be for me to play flamenco for my mom or my wife or a room of people. But this thing
if you want to be them,
of switching places, I feel like this is happening more and more. And
wait, how do we get to it now? Because now I'm confused a little bit.
Because reading the Collier comments, I could see that a lot of his audience
wants to be him.
It's
like
him,
you remember
as
when we went to
see want to be like him.
Yes. Like when we went to see Kurt Rosenwinkel play the showcase.
Oh yeah.
So that was
same thing. Same thing
with Scott Henderson, by the way, in Regis.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, Alan Holsworth's audience, I liked so much better than Scott's audience.
Right.
Because it just seemed like a lot of people care more, like, they're trying to be him. They want to be on stage. They want to see, I want to see the pedal. I want to see how he really sets up his amp, so I can do it.
Yeah, it's a cult of personality as opposed to like a real fan of the music. Because these people, again, there's something when you start unpacking it
there's some resentfulness in it. That's what I felt like with Scott Henderson's audience. But they want to kind of hate him too.
Yeah.
You know, they like him, but they want to hate him.
Well, it's inevitable.
And with Alan, you don't feel it. You just felt like they like him.
Yeah. It's inevitable. I think it will come at some point, because what they want from you is something impossible. Like, even if you wanted to get, you know, you can't just unzip yourself and like jump in, you know?
Yeah.
You know, stick a hand up my ass, I'll be your hand puppet. You know, it just doesn't work like that. They're unhappy in their own window into reality, and they want to see it through your eyes. Again, we all can relate to that to an extent. That's why people watch sports, right? Especially the Olympics. Do you really care how far somebody can throw a disc? It's almost
I'm just bored at the idea of watching the Olympics.
I never watched it in my life. I don't even know where that came from. But I'm guessing,
I'm guessing for some people.
Yeah, I'm guessing some people would like the perspective of being the what does it feel like to be able to do that, you know, and that's the big joke too, which is when you can do something, it feels like
nothing. Yeah,
you know what?
It's like the football and basketball now. They all have mics. They're mic'd all the time, so you can feel like what it's like to be on the field. But once you put the mic on, it's the thing about the tree falls in the wood. Right. Once you film it, once there is a mic on, it's no longer the same thing.
Exactly.
Like, you will never get it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't act the same, because once
you're on camera,
that's it. It's different.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. It changes. The self-awareness changes the experience. You're not gonna react in a natural way anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Hold on one sec. Alrighty.
Yeah, let's be done with that one.
Okay. So check us out.
Watch our live live Facebook show that was pre-recorded.
Oh yeah,
on
yeah.
camera.
We played a Facebook show at Sweetwater in the studio.
Well, we played a live show, and we're gonna stream it on Facebook.
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah.
I'm gonna sell tickets to that.
And,
in retrospect, I wish the people who are there would clap between the songs.
That would be nice. Yeah, it was just us. But I think with the pandemic, they didn't have.
No, we were in the other room. We should have had a mic in the other room and have the people,
That makes sense.
like the three people there, like, woo!
The sound engineer and the people.
And his
the
friend,
camera people,
the saxophone friend, yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, we're at facebook.com/Marbin Music. Our music is all available at marbinmusic.bandcamp.com.
Comment downtown on the YouTube video. Comment down on the YouTube video.
Yeah, comment here. And
We want to see it.
Yeah, and subscribe to this podcast. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.